criticism, reading some ready-made criticism, not too much critical from CGTN. No, I just read CGTN. It's time for Russia Today. Yeah, Russia Today. I'm sorry, I was downloading some meme from Dragon Ball. Let's read this important news from Russia. Alleged chemical provocations exposed by murdered Russian general, the main cases. December 17, home Russia and former Soviet Union. Igor Kirillov spent years investigating incidents involving chemical and biological weapons. We have a photograph. General Igor Kirillov. Russian Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, who along with his assistant was killed on Tuesday in a Moscow assassination allegedly carried out by Ukraine, was the Russian military's top official on the hazards posed by weapons of mass destruction. Kirillov commanded the military branch responsible for protecting troops and civilians from chemical and biological weapons and from the radioactive fallout of a nuclear strike or dirty bomb attack. He was also in charge of military investigations into numerous high-profile cases directly and indirectly involving Russia. He delivered over 40 briefings about the findings made by specialists under his command since being appointed in 2017. He also regularly offered his expert opinion to Russian officials and the media. His work came as allegations of chemical weapons use became an increasingly frequent tool in Western foreign policy over the past decade. First, Syria. A turning point was arguably the war in Syria and claims by then US President Barack Obama that Damascus had deployed chemical weapons against opposition forces, thus crossing an alleged red line. In a Russia-mediated attempt to deflate tensions, the Syrian government agreed in 2013 to destroy all of its declared stockpiles of such weapons. However, more incidents follow which the West blamed on government forces, alleging that Damascus never actually fulfilled its obligations. Moscow meanwhile, maintained that anti-government groups were conducting false flag operations, while foreign-founded organizations such as the notorious White Helmets were providing media support. The Organization of the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, which has the mandate to investigate such allegations, was compromised by Western influence, Russia believes. Related news, read more. Assassination on Russian general is Ukraine agony, Medvedev. Interesting, I'm going to read right away. Quote, Syrian authorities demanded on numerous occasions that the OPCW deploy specialists on the ground for investigation, but received refusals that cited lack of security. Kirillov said during a briefing in 2018, as he detailed cases of alleged manufacturing of chemical weapons by militant groups. The same year, the OPCW faced what was arguably its worst internal crisis while investigating a chemical attack in the city of Douma. According to whistleblowers, its top management suppressed findings by field investigations and manipulated testimony to implicate Damascus. Dissenting scientists argued behind closed doors that the evidence contradicted such a claim, only to be dismissed as disgrounded the employees when they went public. Kirillov reported in 2019 that Russian troops deployed in Syria conducted hundreds of tests for traces of chemical weapons as part of their monitoring mission. Second, Novichok, Moscow was accused of deploying a chemical weapon in 2018 after Andrei Skripal, a Russian intelligence defector, and his daughter fell ill in Salisbury, Great Britain. London and Western media claimed that they were poisoned with Novichok, a toxic chemical allegedly developed exclusively by the Soviet military. Although civilian officials were responsible for Moscow's messaging over the incident, Kirillov was called in to set the record straight about Novichok's Russian nature. Western nations, including the UK, have chemical weapons programs of their own with enough expertise to synthesize highly lethal compounds, he pointed out. Related news, read more. West using chemical weapons, watchdog to justify aggression, Moscow. The US and its allies had an opportunity to gain insights into Soviet research, including from chemists involved in it. He added during a briefing in 2018, a scientist named Vil Mirshayanov was the first person to discuss the program dubbed Novichok publicly after moving to the US. He went as far as to publish a formula for one of the chemicals developed by the USSR, which Kirillov said was deeply responsible and posed a proliferation threat. 3. Ukraine and US-led biolabs. A significant part of Kirillov's reports in the media focus on the Ukraine conflict after it escalated into open hostilities with Russia in 2022. Some of them documented alleged use of chemical agents by Ukrainian troops on the battlefield or warned of possible provocations by Kiev. Others deal with a network of US-backed microbiological labs, which have been a source of major concerns for Russia and other countries. Washington claims that the Pentagon funded activities by the Defense Threat Reduction Agency are merely meant to detect and identify naturally emerging threats. Critics, however, believe the program pursued more sinister aims. Kirillov claimed that the US evacuated some 16,000 relevant samples from Ukraine, while other pieces of evidence were destroyed. But some materials were captured by the Russian military, giving Moscow a glimpse into the clandestine research, the late general claimed. 4. With his visor up, in October, the UK placed personal sanctions on Kirillov, along with the entire Russian military branch under his command. London cited Kiev's claims that the general was responsible for using chemical weapons in the Ukraine conflict. Moscow has consistently denied such accusations, insisting in destroying such materials back in 2017. The Ukrainian Security Service, SBU, announced formal charges against Kirillov hours before his murder. A source in the agency told the media that the assassination was in operation against a war criminal. There's another related news. Read more. U.S. publication of so-called Novichok formula violates Chemical Weapons Convention, Russia to OPCW. Kirillov spent years, quote, exposing the crimes of the Anglo-Americans. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said, commenting on his death, quote, he worked without fear, did not hide behind anyone's back, walked with his visor up for the motherland and the truth, she said. I'm going to read the first one, I guess. And I'm going to call this video the forbidden news for the free world. But I have no time. I'm already at home. Later, then I'm going to read assassination of Russian general. Is Ukraine agony? Medvedev. I guess, yeah. So, but this raised a lot of questions about Russia's overall security. Why a guy like him, a general, is not safe, you know? Why that was possible.